Joining me now is South Dakota Senator John Thune, chair of the Senate Republican Conference. Would you agree with that, Senator? In good shape heading into midterms?
You talking about the Democrats?
Republicans.
Oh, Republicans. No, I think we're in good shape, Sandra. Look, I think that right now what people are going to be focused on, and particularly when they start thinking about elections, and of course it's very early, that's a ways off, but they think about the economy, they think about their pocketbooks, they think about whether their lives are better now than they were 4 years or 2 years ago. And I think if you look at every indication, unemployment's at a 17-year low. Last month in February, more people entered the workforce than have in 40 years, over 800,000 people back into the workforce. Wages are up. Those are the types of things that I think are going to affect the way people vote.
But meanwhile, the president, as you just heard, Senator, placing blame squarely on Democrats for things not getting done in Congress, whether it's immigration reform, DACA, calling them obstructionists. Is that the case?
Well, for sure. I mean, the things that have gotten done in spite of Democrats. And we passed major tax legislation, a lot of regulatory reform, obviously record numbers of appointments to the courts. And the president has been instrumental, obviously, in making sure that he's getting nominees up here that we can process. What we've seen out of the Democrats is historic levels of obstruction, particularly on the president's nominees. If you go back to the previous 4 administrations, in the first year of those 4 administrations combined, there were 32 nominees filibustered by the opposing party. In the last 4 administrations, this president in his first year has had 78 already. And so we spent a lot of our time up here in the Senate trying to work through filibusters and file cloture and waste a lot of time on nominees that we could be using working on other things.
Well, that being said, there's a lot of work to do before this Friday deadline and passing this spending bill. Will that happen?
I think it will. Of course, it's always challenging, and again, you're dealing with Democrats who use these opportunities as leverage to get more spending. This is how they grow government. They use every opportunity where we have to pass a spending bill to fund the military, things that we think are important, fund the border, those types of issues. They use these as opportunities to increase spending on their social programs in most cases. And so we're trying to work with this to get the the necessary votes to pass a bill in the Senate, pass a bill in the House that does the important things that we need to do, like taking care of our military and dealing with the opioid crisis and infrastructure and things like that. But obviously dealing with Democrats who have a tremendous amount of leverage makes it challenging, because in every case what they're advocating for is going to be more spending and more government. You
know, Senator, it's probably a question a lot of folks at home have as well, but how do we keep getting to this point? I mean, another deadline, got to fund the government or it's going to shut down, and it just seems we keep getting here.
We do, and of course this all starts with the budget process, and what's happened in the last few years, at least in times that we've been in the majority in the Senate, is the Democrats have blocked appropriation bills. They won't let us get on the bills. And so we end up with this pileup at the end of the year. But it's got to change, Sandra. I'm a big advocate of budget reform. I think we've got to fundamentally transform the way that we budget in Washington. It would do more to change the way Washington works than anything else that we could do. And so we need to be moving aggressively to change that.
And real quick, Senator, if I could get you to weigh in. You just heard that Chuck Grassley making comments a few moments ago, weighing in on the president's phone call with Vladimir Putin, congratulating him on his recent election victory. A lot of members of your own party have spoken out now, in addition to Grassley, Mitch McConnell, John McCain, taking issue with that phone call. Did you have a problem with it?
You know, I'm not sure why the president felt like he needed to call and congratulate Vladimir Putin on what was a fake election. I think most of us don't see that as necessary. Obviously it's a decision the president ultimately makes, but I think his advisors were advising him against it, and in this circumstance I certainly wouldn't listen to his advisors.
A lot going on today, and I know there's some weather there in Washington, Senator Thune, so thanks for coming on the program this morning.
Nice to be with you. Thanks, Sandra.